Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Safe Room. I'm your host, President. I'm here, Sean Williams, listening, guys. If anyone knows that's been happening with me, we gonna tough it through, okay? Listen, if you know what's been happening to me, you know what's happening. And listen, we go work it out. We go work it out. But today, listen, I'm trying to get all the positivity in the room, okay? Because Lord knows we need it. It's raining. I said raining, snowing cats and dogs. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm looking out my window. It's terrible. But hopefully things will get better. But today I have a fantastic guest. I checked out his podcast, The Who and How Club. Where we're gonna talk about the who's and hows of this world for this episode. This guy is
You're killing me.
amazing. He's absolutely amazing, and he put me on his website even before we even started like recording this episode. So I know he is homie number one right there alone. He is fam to the Safe Room. I want to welcome to the podcast Arys Dejan. What's up, my man? How's it going?
What's going on, Sean? Arys.
Arys.
Like Paris.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, we were talking about this, man. Like the names, it's a pet peeve of my Arys, man. My apologies, brother. How are you?
It's a gift and a curse, with the name. So I appreciate being here. I'm doing well. We know it's crazy in the city right now, but we're just taking it in stride. So I'm doing well. I'm grateful to be on this platform and to be on this episode with you today. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, man. To all my audience, listen, I'm just gonna say this right now. The Who and How Club, go check it out. It is a must. Please, it's a fantastic podcast, and I promise you guys will enjoy it to the fullest extent.
That means a lot to me. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. For today, we're gonna talk about a bit about music. I know I haven't talked about music in a while, so I forgive about that. I'm sorry about that because I've been very busy with other topics. But today we're gonna talk about music, and we're gonna talk about the power of nostalgia and kind of correlate it to something of a theory of mine that I'm looking to get to the bottom of. I'm trying to figure out what would be the ultimate playlist, or at least what would be some of the songs that we're probably gonna go back to whatever timeline. Like, I'm trying to figure out that. Now, personally, I could not do that myself. So I had to get my main man right here to help me with this conversation. So we're going to get into that. But before we do,
yes,
I think it's important that we have Arys on the show, that we go over his podcast, the Who and How Club. So I just want to pop the first question. I just need to know, like, you have this little saying that we are the who's and the hows, and like I find that very intriguing and very like excellent, like chef's kiss of how you put it. But for all the people who don't know about that, can you just like give a quick explanation, just what your podcast is about, and like what does that phrase mean as a whole?
Thanks for giving light to that saying, or like it's like the slogan pretty much. And when as you're saying it out loud, like hearing someone else say it, it's like okay, it works, but like if I look back or like think back on how it came up, or like it wasn't like something I sat down and said, oh, this is going to be the slogan of the Who and How Club. I didn't write it down on the vision board or anything, but it was just something that came to mind that just like stuck. And I think those organic things, just being organic before the show started, I think those are like the best moments in life, when things just happen organically, so the Who and How Club, I called it that because I wanted it to be inclusive, but also exclusive at the same time. Like that's like the concept of the show. So it's like, you're part of this club, but are you self-aware enough to know that you are like the who and how of this world? Like who you are means so much to just the operations of life, and us discovering that. Like I think that's one of our purposes, like to find out who we are and how do we define that. And the how is like, how did you become the who that you are? That journey, like I see you today, Sean. Like I see Sean Williams in front of me. He's the host, creator, and producer of the Safe Room podcast. But I don't know Sean like 2 weeks ago. I don't know Sean 10 years ago. There's a journey there that got you to this point that I'm seeing you at right now in front of me. So the how is just as important in our lives that as much as the who is. You know what I mean? So that's where that kind of the slogan kind of, well, the title of the show came from and the platform, but then the slogan kind of was an extension of that. So yeah,
Yeah,
we are the who's and hows of this world. We make the world go round, right?
that's perfect. And I never even took it from the first time of like, oh, he's just kind of saying it as like marketing and stuff. No, that was, I can tell when you said it, and the first time you exemplified and how you explained it, it was genuine from the heart. And I really think that is important. There's a lot of people who have a narrative when they meet someone. It's like, oh, this is me, this is what I do. But like, you're trying to figure out, well, how did you get to this point? What were some of the trials and tribulations that you faced to get to,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
destination? And I love how you really try to push that through your content, through your conversations. And I think it's a really beautiful thing, because the whole point of the safe room is I try to have an open platform where people can have, stimulated conversation, whether it's on social, political, cultural issues. And the whole point of it is that no opinion is flawed. No opinion is judged or ridiculed, misrepresented, whatever you want to say. People are
Yes.
free to speak their mind, because, again, in the society we live, a lot of people like to dictate what you want, what you should say, how you should behave. And again, that's
Who you
where,
should be. Who you
right,
should.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's at a point where, like, we're trying to talk about this ideal utopian society, but yet we don't realize we're the problems of it. You always want to say, like, oh, it's the higher ups and the ones with the power dynamics. But at the same time, do you look at yourself as the individual and say, you know what? Maybe I need to, like, look myself in the
Yes.
mirror and, like, do better. So,
Yes. Yes.
like, that's what I'm trying to, like, do with my podcast. Have an open platform, whether it's bringing my friends on here, bringing other podcasters, guests that I know, and having these conversations. Again, it doesn't always have to be serious, serious. I've had conversations in the past where, like, we just said some stupid shit, and, like, it's hilarious. But again, it's
Yes.
about having those conversations and feeling free in, like, your own space.
Again, like, yeah, like we are, some of us are a part of the problem as well. And we got to have self-awareness. Like, look at the world. Just look at the world. Look at how divided it is. Look at what's happening in some areas of the world versus others, like it's scary. It's a scary place. But if you're blessed enough to be in our current situation, like, living in North America, and we have the ability to take time to ourselves to really decipher what our lives should look like and who we are as individuals, then we should take those opportunities to figure that stuff out, because they got to worry about where their next meal is going to come from,
Right.
or their war torn country, they have nowhere to eat or sleep. They're probably, a lot of people didn't wake up this morning, you know what I mean? So
Mm.
we have to be appreciative enough to know that, like, okay, we woke up, we got legs, we got hands, we got mouths, we have a voice, we have a brain to think and to really pick these things apart and peel these layers back about, just life in general and our lives individually.
Absolutely. I feel like a lot of us don't realize that you never know what tomorrow could really bring to you. And honestly, it's this thing where, God has kind of put in us on earth to do his will. Like, I never took myself as like a selfish person, like, oh, it's just about me, like, I'm only trying to satisfy my own self. I know there's this philosophy about, oh, we're supposed to care about our self-interest, we're supposed to, do stuff that benefits us, but at the same time, like, where does that really get us? Where does that get us in life? How can we really be able to grow in our own communities, with our families, or like our loved ones? I'm always a person that's like, I'm willing to, like, help others first before myself, because I'm not trying to, like, diminish, like, my value, but at the same time, I feel like when you're able to help others build whatever path they're trying to do, they're going to show you that same love and appreciation, and they're going to help you get to whatever you're trying to build towards. And, like, to me, I think that's more I could possibly ask for than if I tried to just be like, I don't care about what anyone else thinks unless it cares for my benefit. Because, like, what does that do? Like, what joy does that really bring to an individual? In my opinion, I feel like
Mm.
it's just kind of like you're kind of doing it because you just want to, you know, because you kind of believe it's like a universal law, like, oh, you have to do this, you have to
Yeah.
do that, but
Yeah.
like it just it sounds weird and it sounds stupid, just to me, but
I think everything is balanced too, you know, because like
right,
you're not gonna give your energy and time to everyone. I feel like it's not like our mission isn't, we can only do so much as individuals. And like for you, Sean, like if you don't work on yourself or do things for yourself, you probably won't be able to do for others, right? So I believe in selfishness in that aspect where it's like I got to give to me first because I won't even be able to give to anyone unless I give to me. Like,
mm,
you know, like Jay-Z has this line, if we're going to be talking about music, like he says he got rich and gave back to me. That's the win-win, you know, because like he couldn't help the poor if he was one of them,
mm,
you know. So he has lines like that, and he's like one of my idols. So I think everything, like even with like love or like trust, respect, it all starts with self. And
yeah,
that might be looked at as selfish to someone who doesn't understand that because they've never taken that time to really give to self. They're always giving to others, outsourcing their energy, and like they never have enough for themselves. But
right,
sitting with yourself and feeding yourself first so that you can feed others in different ways and different aspects, I think that there's a good selfish and there's a bad selfish, you know. There's like
right.
there's an evil selfish, there's a beneficial selfish, there's a taking selfish. There are layers to selfishness, you
There's
know.
levels
So
to this blood. There's levels to
yeah,
this.
yeah, 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 yeah. But here, I get what you're saying as well, and I like what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, guys, that was philosophy 101 with Sean and Aris right there.
100%. On
But
this snowy day, philosophy on a snowy day.
yeah. Okay, so let's get to the real conversation. Let's get to like, to some music, man. You're an artist, and
Yeah,
honestly, I've checked out some of your music. It's really good. You know, I'm always an open person when it comes to like music, like listening to new artists.
yeah,
Personally, I feel like I am drifting farther and farther away from listening to mainstream artists, and like I want to look
yeah.
for those underground artists, or those artists that's like not getting the
The
spotlight, the recognition,
the
because
attention, yeah.
yeah, I just want to know, when did your musical journey start for you?
Yeah, it started in my teens, right before, like I grew up in foster care, like during my teenage years. So age 13 was when I was in the system, and just before that happened in my life, I started, like I always loved music, and right before the foster care stuff happened, um, I just started writing lyrics, and I started like ghost writing for a lot of my friends who didn't even rap themselves. But I would create these songs and formulate these songs. And I would write a verse for myself, a verse for Rayon, a verse for Craig. But these guys didn't rap. And this was just like a little kept secret that I would, you know, I was teaching myself how to just write verses. Uh, and I didn't like, I'm 32. So at age 12, 13, it's not like I could go and cop an instrumental. And like, I don't know how I was coming up with these verses, but I was just writing things down. And I guess the beats were in my head and I was constructing these songs. And once I got to high school, I embraced my talents a bit more. And a lot of the things that I was going through, you know, art really helped me get through those tough moments, you know, writing poetry and just putting my thoughts and feelings on paper. And I'm for the noise. My dog, every time I'm on a call, it's like he knows, like he does this on purpose. This guy was quiet before we got on the call, but
Hey,
as soon as you hit record, this guy's going crazy right
listen,
now.
listen. I have no shame. There was like this one time, like I had an episode with a friend, and my mom, she came in the background, and I thought when I was editing, I cut it out. He calls me when the episode published. He's like, "Hey, yo, dude, I love you. You do realize your mom was still on the cut, right?" I was like, "Oh shit!" It was the most hilarious thing ever. So I totally get how you feel, man. Man,
The
don't
noise.
worry. Just
Yeah,
continue on.
apologies. So yeah, so during the teens, you know, going through a lot of things, not knowing how to deal with my emotions, I just started putting my life on paper. And even to the point where like my grandma found like this thing that I wrote, and she interpreted it as a suicidal note, but it was really
Um,
just like a poem, and it was really just my way of expressing myself and dealing with the things that I was going through that I didn't have outlets to help with.
mm-hmm.
So poetry and everything, and I started performing and just, yeah, just I always knew music and rap and everything, and I always loved music. I had an affinity for like hip hop, and I know things that I shouldn't know. Like I know who produced things that I shouldn't know. I know when things come out. Like that was always a part of my life. So
Mm-hmm. I know how you feel. First things first, bro. The fact that you were writing like lyrics for your peeps and everything, you should have got compensation. You should have went back to be like, yo, listen, man, like I need run the check, cut the check.
those guys didn't even rap. They were like, when I finally showed it to them, they were like amazed and appreciative, but they were like, they just never
It's
rapped.
like I can't rap this. This is too clean. They'll know this isn't me.
They were just my crew. Like they were my bigger brothers, and I would just pretend that in my mind we were like a rap group, and I was
Listen.
ghostwriter.
I know how you feel, and I love how at first you said like I didn't know where this was coming from. Sometimes we have those hidden talents that we never discover. Like for me, like before like this is the inception of the safe room. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like switching stuff. Like I was like one of those indecisive person. Like, oh, I want to be a professional athlete. No. I want to go to Harvard Law School. No. I want to do this. I want to do that. And like I was so lost at the point. I'm like, yo, am I just a hot mess? Am I just a person that just like doesn't know how to decide? And then when I first joined the club in York University and they had their own podcast and I hosted an episode, it made me realize like, wait a minute, like I'm actually pretty good at this because I'm a person that I like to have conversations. I'm pretty good at public speaking as well. Just getting to meet people and hear what they have to say on certain topics. So I know how for you as an artist, you're probably wondering like, how did this come to be? But I love how you talked about your story with poetry, how it was like a way of words to express yourself. Sometimes it could be used as a way to like improve your mental health. Maybe it's like I can't express myself in this way because there's like traits of toxic masculinity. It's like, oh, if I do that in front of certain people, they're gonna look at me all like, oh, this guy's soft, or this guy's weak. But
Oh, for
I
sure.
loved how you didn't really let that affect what you were starting to love at the time, which was your music, your writing, and everything like that. So put a that really put something in my heart. It's like, wow, like this is a guy that just really cares, and he doesn't allow for social norms or what other people's opinions think and how he wants to operate with his stuff moving forward. So that was beautiful.
If I did, Sean, I probably wouldn't even be on the call with you today. I'd probably be dead or something. You know what I mean? So
Ah,
art,
man.
art, art saved. Art saved my life, man. Art
Wow.
really saved my life. Like I believe, like we all have talents. So like you said, like you're a great public speaker and you were trying to figure things out. But once you figure it out and once you realize like, oh yeah, this is what I'm really good at, you find your purpose. And it's like these are like superpowers you're gifted with. It just takes a long time to like activate them. Sometimes they don't activate until your teens, or sometimes what you think is your power isn't really. And then at age 26, you change careers or you change whatever. So it's all about finding your purpose. And I believe like being a creator was always my destiny. That's why I'm
Mm.
doing it. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't mine. So it's what I'm good at and what I feel. And I do it to inspire others. Hopefully, even after our conversation today, we'll inspire people. So
Yeah,
that's always the
so
goal.
wish it into tuition. Wish
Yeah.
it into the world. We're
Into
gonna
fruition. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you being an artist, I think this is the perfect time to kind of transition to our main topic, which I'm very excited to talk about.
You're
Um
very excited to talk about this.
so listen, to my audience here. I know you grown up and there's those hits, those songs that you can't get out of your head. Like listen, for me, BET every like afternoon from 1 to 2, do not disturb me because the biggest songs were playing at the time, man. Like
You're
that was
stupid. You're stupid. You're stupid. You're such a fool for this one.
Oh my gosh.
Rap City, all of that.
Yeah,
Rap
listen, there's
City.
so much like BET.
Sita's World. You know Sita's World?
See this? It sounds familiar. It sounds familiar.
106 in Park.
Oh yeah, 106. I was about to say that right there. 106 in Park. Come on, man.
Yeah.
The top tens and everything. The special artists that were coming on the show. Roxy and Terrence, bro. I remember all of that. All of that.
See, I remember AJ and Free before
Oh,
Roxy and Terrence.
right. True. 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 Yo, listen.
How old are you, Sean?
Me?
What's our age difference between you and I?
I'm 21 actually.
What?
I'm 21.
This guy is killing me right now. You're making me feel old as hell.
Hey, listen, bro. Honestly, when I was looking at you, I'm thinking like, it's like 20, 26, 26, 27. When you say you're 32, I was like, yo, this man, like, he's showing
Wow.
no phase of like early 30s at all.
You're stupid. You're killing me today. I can't believe this guy's 21, but you're well versed, which is good. Like I like that you have like you know what you're talking about. Because some 21-year-olds, not to generalize, but some young folks, they don't know nothing about nothing. So I'm
Listen,
glad that we
man,
can have that convo, you know?
I have some wonderful parents, and I'm grateful for that. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I appreciate that. But anyone listening, obviously there's those childhood hits that you listen to. So I'm curious, Arys, what were those songs? Like I know it's probably a very hard and vague question, but I'm very curious. Like what were those songs? Or maybe again we were just throwing back a little bit of little jabs. Like what was those like shows that you watched when you wanted to like listen to some music at the time?
Okay, let's see. My this was, as you're speaking, I'm just envisioning where I was in like '01 or '02 or whatever, and like what I was listening to or what kind of inspired me to write lyrics. And do you remember Clips Grinding? You know that song?
I don't. Oh yeah.
Push a T,
I
Malice
blanked out
Grinding.
for a second. I blanked
Yeah, grinding. That like changed hip hop because the Neptunes, like Pharrell and them, like
Mm-hmm.
that beat, everyone was banging that beat on like the table in school and like on the heater and everything in hallways.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Like
But
you'll never forget that beat. So like that beat, just that song, I still bump it today. Like, and it sounds like that track was made yesterday. You know what I mean? So
mm,
that's a song that still inspires me to this day and is like one of my ultimate tracks. And where we first met, Pusha T, like
mm,
him and his brother Clips, and
yeah.
Malice, so the group is called Clips, but his brother's name is Malice, and he eventually like went on to kind of do like more clean music, and he got away from the group. That's why Pusha T's on his own now.
Mm-hmm.
But that track still touches me to this day, So yeah.
Man, I don't know what song I would say. Like, it has to be songs, like plural. Like for me, again,
Yeah.
I mentioned like BET. Like, listen, like my sister and I, we were young, so like
Oh, so
anytime
young.
we would know, like we were more like in that those mid 2000 like
Yeah,
era, bro.
yeah.
Shit.
Give me something. Give me something from your.
Honestly, I don't know.
I
Like,
still grew up in the era, and I've
listen,
always followed music, so I'm sure something that you liked is something I
okay,
was
listen.
listening to.
A young Chris Brown, untouchable, untouchable. Listen, man, kiss forever. Give me that, like yo. I would literally be there, like doing the moves, everything. I'm not even a
Yes,
dancer
yes,
like that.
yes, 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 yes,
It was crazy. Like I'm talking about the times where like Jamie Foxx was making music with
yes,
Unpredictable,
yes,
Blame
yes,
It, like
yes,
yo,
yes, yes, yes,
everything. Jasmine Sullivan, oh my god,
yes.
Need You Bad, Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Like yo, I was
You're
listening to
surprising
everything.
me right now, man.
But like even the other track, what's it? VIC, Get Silly. I don't know if you heard that.
I
Yeah,
see.
like oh
Yeah.
my god, the dance flow silly. The ladies gonna film it. The fellas in the back, and they just like listen.
That's
I was
when music started to change.
it started to change,
It
and like
started, you know,
I saw the shift, and but even then I was like I was still enjoying it at the time, and there was just so much that I loved at the time because the music back then, and also like just music in general, it was popping, But in terms of like the different platforms where you can listen to music, it wasn't as like, as present as it is today, where it's like, oh, you have Apple Music, you have Spotify and all those stuff like that. It wasn't as big back then. So like you would
No, not
have
at
to
all.
watch like those
Those things
shows.
weren't even on.
Yeah, they
You
weren't
had
even on exactly like
yeah, you
you
had to get those songs from television
television, 106 in Park, much music and everything, like
and the radio too.
the radio. So a lot of
I
music.
miss I miss when the radio was actually like bussing new tracks. Like that was a
Yeah.
good feeling when like a new track came out and it's like the radio played it, but you don't get that for now. If a new track comes out, we hear it on IG or we go on YouTube, we get the
Listen,
notification,
listen, let me
It's
let me just
fun.
break something down for this generation here. TikTok is killing music. I don't care what anyone say. It's not a hot take. It's killing music. Let me tell you something. There are times I'm not even a TikToker. I don't even like TikTok like that. But anytime I hear like songs like on Reels or anything like that, like for 15 seconds, I'm like, yo, like, what song is this? Like, I've never heard this before. And then I go check it out, thinking like, okay, this will be cool. And it's either just mediocre or trash, or better
Yeah,
yet, maybe there's a song you like and you
yeah,
enjoy. I
yeah,
think what's this? There's this guy I listen to, Blast. He has this song called
yes,
Chosen, featuring I
yeah,
think Ty Dolla $ign and Tiger, right?
yeah.
And when they started doing that stupid water thing with I was like,
Oh, that's what that was.
that was the song behind it. And when I
Okay, that
figured it
song's
that was
trash.
the song, I was like, you took a good song and you made it trash because of TikTok.
I had no idea it was an actual song. I thought maybe someone just like edited something because the beat sounds like "Do the Dougie." How to do like they sampled it, I think. So
Yeah, it does, and like that's the crazy part. Again, like the different things that people do in music to spin it, flip it, and turn to their own stuff. It's actually like it's becoming toxic at a point. Because I remember back then, like you could listen to music. Like, does people remember the days where like if you try to get a ringtone, you couldn't just do it. You had to like probably play the song, put your speaker right near the phone so you could get the ringtone.
that was fun. Those are fun times, man. Those were fun times.
Oh my.
Or even just the ringtone age. Like, remember when we could finally like download ringtones? Like
Yeah.
Soldier Boy, what's the song called? His
Oh, the Soldier Boy up in it. Oh,
Soldier
mommy.
Boy, tell him, yeah, but what's
Yeah,
it called? Like,
crank that, crank
crank
that.
that, crank that. Like, anyway, yeah, like that song like paved the way for like ringtone rappers or like ringtone tracks where you could download and pay for them.
Mm.
He started that. So we could see the shifts throughout the 2000s, but me, I still continue to live in the 90s. And it's not because like I'm old, but that's just where I started. Like
Hey,
that's like
listen.
90s, 2000s.
You and my sister will get along so well. Like I live in the 90s, but she's like she honestly tells herself like I should have never been born on 2000. Like she's like I should have been born in the 90s. Like that's what she keeps saying. Like,
Wow. So she likes the older stuff too,
oh,
before she was
definitely.
born.
Like even not if let's just like take it away from like mainstream. Like even see for me, my background is Grenada in the Caribbean. So like the reggae music, even the reggae music back then was just a vibe. Like I hear the tracks now and I'm just like, what kind of shit is this, bro? Like, dude, they're doing all these upbeat reggae
Yo,
songs.
you're
Like,
killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. I like I won't lie to you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly, I don't disagree because like I don't even know what new reggae or new dance hall is. Like, where do I go to find it?
they
It's not
sound the
like
same.
the end of it for me was like Movado. Like at the end,
Ah,
like
yeah.
Movado and them and vibes, like that whole war and all of that, that
Mm-hmm.
was the end of it. After that, I got lost. I don't know where
Listen,
we're
I
at.
I know like one of the biggest artists that's popping is like Eshencia.
Yeah,
I don't hate her. I think she's talented. But
yeah.
like I hear people saying like, oh, like she's like eclipsed everything in terms of like dance hall reggae that's in the past. I'm like, you guys must be crazy, right? Like
Yes,
honestly, there were so much artists like I used to love for reggae, like Bears Hammond,
yes,
Terrace Riley,
yes.
Morgan Heritage. Like
We were raised on those
we
people.
were
Even Beanie
exactly.
Man and Bounty Killer, like we
Oh
were
my
raised on them.
gosh.
I like Barrington Levy. I like, like those
Like
are that's who I listen.
Lucky Dube, Buddy Whaler,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
those were the moments. Now I
Buju,
feel like
Buju, especially Buju, man.
Buju Banton, like yo,
Yeah.
so much. Let me tell you something. Like people, I feel like no one appreciates like the music back then. Like listen, even like for me as a Grenadian, like my background in Grenada,
Yeah.
calypso music.
Yes.
Come on, man. Like that would get the
Calypso, yeah.
party jumping back then.
My grandma raised me on Calypso. She's from Montserrat. You know Montserrat?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
I'm mixed.
Wow.
I'm mixed with Montserratians. So my grandmother is from Montserrat. My grandfather's from Jamaica. And so my mom is mixed with both of those. And then I get some of that. So growing up in the house, like when I was younger, that's all my grandma would play every weekend. Calypso, and I'd watch her dance, and granddad would dance, and that's
Wow.
calypso, all in and out, all over the house, man.
Wow. That's beautiful, man. Yeah, music as a whole like has just changed and like you kind of like identify those gaps in between where like you saw shifts and everything like that where okay, music doesn't seem like it's changing. And obviously, like, change is okay. I am not trying to say, oh, bring it back to the old time. We get rid of this new music. Listen, sometimes, like, listen to something like new and fresh or something that's like you never heard before is okay. But I think it's more of like when you start to oversaturate it and try to popularize it so much that you're trying to convince a whole nother generation you should like this and only this alone, that's where you see conflict. And now that's where you hear the whole arguments of old school versus new school. Like I've had episodes on the podcast where it's literally been old school, new school series. We've talked about it in forms of music. All my guests are like old school heads. They're like, listen, it's old school for me. And like they always say, like, I don't understand why this new school is like so ungrateful, why they don't appreciate the artists back then. Like they paid the way. You guys are talking about your mumble rappers, all this and that. Like y'all don't listen to like the Run DMC and all that stuff, like the Bone Thugs and Harvey.
Yeah.
It's a whole argument. And like I think it's because of not of the evolution of music, but more of like the generation that has come after us, how they're
Yeah.
trying to like bog on, like, oh, this is what you need to enjoy because that's the only music you need to enjoy.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think it sucks because art art is just supposed to exist. You know what I mean? Like there should never be a war when it comes to art, but it's like there's so many sub genres within one genre now. Like we only see this with hip hop and with
Mm-hmm.
black music. We don't see this with like country music or you know, we just don't see it with the other genres. It's only with hip hop, and hip hop has become pop music. Before we could differentiate between pop music and hip hop or rap music.
Right.
Now pop has become hip hop, or hip hop has become hop or rap or whatever. Hip hop is the culture, but hip hop is so popular and worldwide, it's now been categorized as like popular music, right?
Right.
So who's really determining what's good and what's not? Because you have all these cultures and all these hands in one pot, and they're dividing it in these sub genres, and people who don't really know the culture are involved in it and making that type of music, or they dib and dab. One minute they're making the type of music to benefit off of it, and then the next second they jump out to go make rock or go make something like where they really wanted, that's the music they wanted to make in the first place, but they just
Right.
wanted to infiltrate it initially. So art is just supposed to exist, but I do believe that I get what you're saying as well, or I kind of agree with what you're saying with the whole oversaturation. It's hard to differentiate what's good and what's not, or what genre are we listening to right now? Because I don't
Yeah.
think the stuff that we're listening to should be categorized as like rap or hip hop, but then someone might say, who am I to say that? So I'm only speaking from my experience and what I was raised on, the
And you know
cloth that
what?
I'm cut from.
That no, what you said is absolutely true too. And like you asked the question, like, where is this coming from? Who's the ones that are kind of like telling us like this is like again, like you're absolutely right on one thing. hip hop has become pop music. Like it's become popular music. Like there was a point where that's where all people could talk about. Like, oh, who's the biggest rappers in the game? Like who's like hitting all the top on the Billboard charts? Like who's getting
Yeah.
the most streams and everything like that. It
Yeah.
became this environment where like hip hop was at the main front, and that's what people wanted to listen to. And then because like don't forget, hip hop back in the day was used as a way for like there was different forms like for activism. It was
Yeah.
like a way of resistance of the system as well. Like that's what you saw, and it spoke volumes at the time. But now, like people literally just listen to hip hop, and people don't realize the historical context, or they just listen to it because like, oh, it sounds cool.
Popular. Yeah.
It's popular. Oh, that's just what's going on. Again, it's kind of like there's higher, like there's hierarchies. There's people who are in higher positions who kind of have a say on what this is what society wants to hear. Like this is what's popping, or if we portray it as this, then they're going to enjoy it.
Right.
And with that, the higher powers in combination with society as a whole, like obviously it's like majority rules. I feel
Yes.
like that's where we're getting the split. Because let me tell you something now. I feel like now when I hear a rap song, it's like I want to say, okay, I appreciate it, but it's like you sound the same like that artist, or that artist, or that artist, or that beat sounds the same as this
Don't
artist
get
or
the
that
same
artist.
feeling. You don't get the same feeling anymore.
Right.
It's like a
It,
feeling. There's a feeling that's missing. And it's like the stuff that used to touch our souls. It's rare to come across it. So I even for me, like when I create, I'm hoping to really touch someone's soul or like tell a story through the music or the creativity, not just say what I think somebody is gonna like, because everyone's really saying the same thing nowadays, and they're saying unrealistic things. They're talking about killing people. They're talking about indulging in these drugs. They're talking about, they're
getting the most women, or like my chains and everything. I just
money, etc. And that's always been there, but that was only like an aspect of hip hop. But still, even those people who rapped about those things still spoke about other things. Like you had different songs for different songs. Like I listened to an art, like today we're not gonna bash any artists, but I won't say their names, but I listened to someone's album who I was kind of like excited to listen to. And I'm like, this shit sounds like the last album. Like I can't tell, like I don't even remember the name of the new album now because I still have the energy from the last
can
album
I
with
just ask, was this an album that dropped this year or last year?
like literally a week ago.
I think I know who you're talking about, and I'm not gonna say the name. I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
We'll talk offline, but yeah, like where's the I want to feel something, you know what I mean? But it's hard to feel. Like I like going to like lounges and stuff because they don't play a lot of the new stuff. They'll play like 2000s and stuff that still
Right.
bumps to this day, like that music that just came out a week ago that I'm referring to, that's not gonna last 2 10 years, like 5 10 years from now.
And you know what? I think this brings up a new topic. I feel like a lot of rappers or even fans, like you see, like, the top names, like your Drakes, your Kendricks, your Coles, and people always kind of set a standard for them, but also to other
Yeah,
artists who like, oh, they can be as top level or top tier as them. And like I love also the conversation about albums and like discography and like what you put out, because Kendrick, he's a dude that you don't see every year. Like he'll probably drop an album every 4 or 5 years, whereas maybe like a little baby or the baby or like a little Dirk, they're dropping something like almost
all
every
the
six
little, all the
months
littles, all the littles.
Right. So like
Lil.
it goes to show that music as well, like the output is increasing so much, and like you have to ask the question like, why is that? Like obviously artists, they're trying to get their money's worth. They're trying to get anything, whether it's from royalties or stuff like that. But at the
Yes,
same time, like, are you keeping that same level of passion for music, something that's
for
for
the
the
art
art?
form.
Because I
Right.
kid you not, I've heard so many times where artists specifically blatantly say, I'm not here for the music. I'm not even here for the fame. I'm only here to just get money and just do whatever I got to do. Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, it's become a job now for a lot of creators or artists, or and I don't even know if we want to use those terms anymore, like I'll use a term based on how that person treats themselves. So if like you're just a rapper, then I guess that's just what you are. But for me, like I'm a creator and I'll always label myself as a creator because I don't just do one thing. I could walk and chew gum. So we got to be
Mm,
able to create and look at ourselves as creators. But for some of these folks, it's a job for them because they don't have any other out. So it's just another way for them to make some money. And like it's hard to sit with that music because you're giving so much of it out. I can't tell what's good and what's not, what's different, what's your best song versus your worst song. They all sound like one song, but like someone like Kendrick, J. Cole, or Drake, who are kind of like the holy trinity right now for the young folks, they're still giving us substance. At least they're saying something in their music.
right,
Drake has a bit of a balance, but at least from J. Cole and Kendrick, you're gonna feel it. Like
right.
something Kendrick just has that West Coast. He's cut from a different cloth. He's cut from like Dr. Dre and all of those guys, the game.
Right.
Those guys, he's cut from a different cloth. J. Cole's
Mm.
good, but I don't feel the same when I hear like a Kendrick because I was born on the West Coast stuff. Like I like that stuff more than anything.
Right, exactly. No, I totally agree. And like, it's not to say that the both of us we don't realize that there are artists out there who are really trying to speak more in the or like follow more of like how Kendricks and Cole and how they approach. Like, see, one of my favorite artists right now is JID. Like him, he has a great sound, but also like he has a narrative to share. And like again, there's other people like that. And there's different artists that are out there that they have the potential, and it really makes me ask the question like, so we have these guys, these young artists who actually have the care to say, I'm not just a rapper, I'm a creator. This is just not a title to me. This is all my work, my passion, everything like that. But like, why do we still feel in that hole, or that we have to feel that, okay, it's still like all about the money. How do we fix that? Like, how do we do this and that? It's just like what's overtaking that narrative about we're all artists. Like you said, we should just be existing to
Yeah,
make the
yeah,
music, make the
to
art that we
create.
do. Why are we still in that hole about, oh yeah, but if you're making as much money as you can, it doesn't matter. I mean, think about one artist, Little Pump. Like back in like 2016, 2017, this man was the biggest artist in the world at the time. And where's he now?
Even that, yeah, Little Pump, right? Like, didn't he release? I saw an article yesterday saying that he had released an album, but no one knew about it.
I had no clue.
Yeah, no one
No.
knew. So it's like guys like Corday, because Corday just released an album too, right?
Mm,
And he's being looked at as a lyrical individual right now because he's just veering off from what's happening, like the norm right now. I'm not saying he's a bad artist. I'm just saying his lyrics, like he's more lyrical than his peers right now, but he doesn't have much stuff to compare to because every one of his peers are kind of, they're all doing the same thing.
right.
So like even the people that he was in a group with, they're all shocked at how lyrical he's become and stuff. But like we know artists that are way more lyrical. He's just lyrical for the time being. But guys like that rich talk, it's like I feel like they just don't have anything else to talk about. At least
Yeah.
Corday is finding something new to talk about. Like he's talking about his life finally. And that's what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do in hip hop. You're supposed to talk about your life. You're supposed to talk about relatable things. But the other artists with the rich talk and all of that, it's like, do you guys not have anything else to talk about? Or
And you
even the
know what?
girls, even the girls with the hypersexual, like, I don't know. I
female
don't know.
female rap is just at a point where it's like Megan just popularized that so to the highest level. Like when Megan came out, because here's the thing, her first stuff that she was doing, like Fever, that was good. But when you start to hear her more and more, you're starting
What
to
was
realize
it called? Beaver?
Fever.
It was called Beaver?
No, Fever,
Oh,
Fever.
Fever, Fever. I thought she called her album Beaver.
No,
I
no,
was
no, 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 absolutely not. What I'm trying to say is like
oh,
Megan, um, she kind of popularized again, like you said, this hypersexual type of sound within the content and everything
yeah.
like that. And That's why I hear so much time people saying, "Oh my God, why doesn't Nicki come back? Like she's the queen of rap, bro. Nicki, yo, kill these people, kill them, and blah blah blah." You know,
Because
like
Nicki had some hyper sex as well, but like, but she still had a balance. She was like a
right.
Drake. She was like a Drake in my opinion. Like she could balance it. Like she'd have these dope lyrics and these dope things, these quotable lines, but she had really inspiring songs as well. Like she talked about the thing, her journey, you know. So I don't know. And there's so many dolls. There's like Asian doll, Cash doll, Dream doll. I'm like, how many dolls?
Yo, there's so much.
Kind of doll. Like there's all these dolls. So I don't know.
Uh, I know how you feel. So like now, like after just all that, like I know you and I, we just kind of let go all our emotions, but it now begs the question. So we look at this generation, we look at the music that's being produced and it's being dispersed, and it made me wonder, like, yo, in the next 10 to 20 years, like, what are those songs, or like, are there gonna be some moments that I can at least say when I look back, you know what? This was actually pretty good. And I'm also not. I'm not just
No,
gonna. Yeah. No, that's the end of
I'm
the
joking. I'm
podcast. Thank
hating.
you
I'm
guys
hating.
for
I'm
showing.
hating. I'm hating. I'm hating. I'm hating.
And like, listen, I know some people say yes, but I want to know if people are saying yes in the sense of like, oh, like I like this specific type of music back then. It's like, no, no, no. Forget what you liked at the time. I'm talking as a whole. Will there be like some moments in music, not just your type of music, the type of artist you listen to? Like, will there be a time in music 10 to 20 years from now that will look back and say, you know what? This was really good, or like I remember the song, it was good for what it was, or like this was a huge moment or huge, like, milestone.
Personally, I don't feel like that. You know, and I hate to be that guy, but actually, no, I don't hate to be that guy because I feel like someone has to say it. Like, I don't want to sugarcoat it or pretend but this is just my opinion at the same time, Sean.
Right.
Like, you know, like you and I might think differently just because we're at different stages of our lives, but it kind of sounds like even though you're younger by age, you're like an old soul and you like music of substance, just like I do. That doesn't mean I like boring ass hip hop. I like shit that hits too. But for me, it's about where it's coming from. Like I
Mm,
don't I don't want to listen to a young guy tell me about, like, a lot of these artists are very young. So
mm,
they're probably very immature in their way of thinking. Look at their interviews. Like they don't even know how to speak, you know. So
like,
so I don't want to hear from these people. I want to hear
yeah.
from someone who knows what they're doing, who is a true artist, etc. So I don't think that's why I try to listen to more R&B nowadays, even if it's new R&B and there's a lot of like even the new R&B in comparison to old R&B. If you think about it, like old R&B, there was so many like innuendos in the music, but it could still play on radio and like young people could still listen to it and not know
Mm,
what they're referencing in the music because the songs were that good and
the
they weren't just,
production and everything,
yeah,
yeah.
everything. But now these songs are just like straight out. I want to fuck you, fuck me, fuck me, fuck you, fuck. Like there's no hidden messages. It's all just like Aaliyah rock the boat.
Oh man.
Like she's saying something in that song.
She
And I don't
is.
know, she's saying a lot of sexual, like
Uh-huh.
the title of the song is this, but that song gets played everywhere, and it's loved and adored everywhere because there was class to that type of those lyrics and those
Mm-hmm.
what those songs represented. But nowadays you can't even, you play one of the new R&B songs on the radio and all you'll hear is instrumental because they got to blurt out all the swear words, like,
And like even
oh,
instrumental to some point, I feel like some of the R&B tracks I hear is just kind of like it's this very
generic
modern,
generic.
upbeat type of sound. Like honestly, I love Chris Brown. Like don't worry, he's one of my favorite artists. But when I tell you that Chris, in my opinion, is going through a creative slump in his
Facts.
music, it just
Facts. Facts.
I don't know what's going on. Like honestly, I haven't enjoyed a Chris Brown album since like Royalty, maybe.
Facts.
Like
He
it
just
need
released a new song called
iffy.
Iffy. Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. It is iffy.
It's iffy. It sounds like something he's already released before, like
Right.
5 times ago. Like, and even though I like him, he's a great artist. Even with his dancing and the choreography, it's like he's not inspired. Like, bro, don't you want to set a trend?
Because
Set a trend.
okay, listen. So I feel like we're about to get into a Chris Brown conversation. All right, let's just get into it.
Oh,
So
I
here's the
love
thing.
CB. I love CB.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like Chris Brown, because of past things, and if anyone knows, Chris Brown, he's had a nasty past. Like, listen, I like Chris Brown as an artist. If I ever met him in person, I would tell him how much of a piece of shit he is, because I'm gonna keep it real. I don't like you as a person. As an artist, I respect your work, but as a person, nah.
You're kidding me right now.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I feel like Chris, he notices that people hate him for what he's done in the past, and he feels like, okay, I gotta keep putting out music. I gotta keep putting out music, because if I don't, people are gonna forget me, or they're gonna say like, oh, I'm whack. And like, I think that's getting to his head slowly, and like it's growing, because now I feel like everywhere you see him, whether it's his own song, a feature, I feel like every year you can guarantee Chris Brown is gonna hop on a track with someone. And honestly, I wanted to tell Chris, like, just if I saw him face to face, like, listen, dude, take 2, heck, maybe 3 years off, because your mental health, man, you're pushing yourself too far. You don't need to worry. Like, yes, you have done some fucked up shit. You have. I feel like he needs to take a break, and I feel like that's what a lot of artists feel.
He could be a trendsetter. He could be a real trendsetter if he just took a break and came back harder.
He could really bring a different sound. I feel like he's just so focused about, I always need to pump out content,
staying up with people. But he needs to realize that he set the trend for people. All these artists now, they're like clones of Chris Brown. So he doesn't need to do what he's doing. He could take a step back. And that's the self-awareness like creatives need to have. It's like, do you put value in everything that you do? Is it quality over quantity for you, or is it quantity over quality? And a real creator will understand that about their art, but then maybe some of them just need the money, man. We don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. So
like, this is what's also confused me too. It's like, it's not like Chris Brown just entered the game. Like, he's one of the biggest artists of his generation.
biggest
What
entertainer.
more money?
Yeah.
He literally just dropped a cereal. Like, what the heck?
An entertainer. Yeah, he's great. Like, next to, after Michael Jackson, I would say Usher and Chris Brown are like next in line for those titles,
Right.
like King of R&B kind of thing.
That's what
Usher first, obviously, but like
Mhm.
Chris Brown after,
like that's what boggles my mind. Like, you even have, like, even the more current artists, like Doja Cat. I think she went on her IG one time and she actually said, like, I don't want to be doing all these albums and these interviews. I just want to sit down and make quality music, but like, I'm forced to, because my producers, my team's like, okay, you just released an album, get back in the studio and make another album. She's like, I don't want to do that.
Slavery. And I actually mentioned her. It's funny you bring her up, because I mentioned her in my last like appearance, this last show that I was on. Shout out to the other, like whoever's following me, they know which show I'm referring to, a couple days ago. So I mentioned, like, they do like a song of the week segment, and I had mentioned that my song of the week was a Doja Cat song, but I don't necessarily like Doja Cat and like her as a person, and like the things she just, I don't know, but that's where we're at now. It's like, we just like songs. We just like these songs. It's just songs. We might not like 10 of your songs, but you might create one that we fuck with, and then that's what we roll with for a little bit. So I think that's the era that we're in. We don't like a lot of bodies of work. We just like songs now. We're in a song era.
That's not me. Listen, I am always about the body of work. Listen, like, I don't want to stick on the Chris Brown thing, but I have to use it because he's the perfect case study. I don't care what anyone says. Indigo as an album was not good. It was not good.
I liked one song off that album.
Oh, snap.
One song. And that was a long album. There were many tracks on it, but
like, yeah, it was like 30 plus. And that's another thing too. You see artists dropping 20 plus tracks and they say, you know what I need to do? I need to drop a deluxe. Let me drop 10 more tracks on top of it. Why?
Yeah. And then they call it a classic one day after. It's like, who listened to this? Like, how can you determine this as a classic? Back in the day, you had to sit with albums. Like, you were reading back in the day, Sean, like before you were born, not to age us, but like, and even during the time that you were around, like in magazines and stuff, like they were giving reviews out before music even dropped. So you were reading reviews for like a month before an album came out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But nowadays, everything is just like this, like this, like this.
Yeah.
And then they're being called classics. And it's like, you have to sit with the music. You have
Right.
to sit with it and determine if this is good quality or not. These guys release an album in less than 24 hours. The blog is saying best
Album of the
album
year.
yet.
Album of the year. Album of the decade. It's
What?
like no, another important crucial thing, music rollouts. I feel like a lot of people don't really appreciate that too, because when Tyler the Creator dropped Call Me If You Get Lost, I feel like he had the most perfect rollout I've seen in years. Like he dropped a couple of snippets per song a week before just to let people know. It's like you don't have to drop it for a month or like 2 months. It's like a couple of days letting people know, okay, something's coming. And I won't lie, when I heard the songs, I legitimately had to sit with it. Like, hold on, like he's
Is
still
that
talking
is that the album before Igor?
after Igor. Call
After.
Me If You Get Lost.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you're right. I did. I
Yeah,
remember seeing the snippets. Yeah.
yeah. So like,
But I
I,
feel like Igor had just come out though, no?
it
Igor
dropped.
just came out in like 2019.
It
No?
did, and like that was the shocking part. It came out in 2019, and then Call Me If You Get Lost came out in 2021.
2020.
And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself like, wow, that was kind of sudden, but it didn't feel like he was rushing. It kind of felt like, wow, it was like a perfect follow up to Igor, and like the way he handled the rollout for it,
Yeah.
it was perfect. Like,
Yeah. I haven't been a fan of his like for a while now, but I respect him as a creator. I mean, creator's in his name, but I haven't taken him in as of late. I'll watch his performances and stuff, but
yeah, that's totally cool. And again, like I overall I feel like you're right, right on the nail. I feel like we're in the songs era where like people don't really look at the totality of the work and just kind of looks like, okay, what's the biggest song from it? Like, what's that? And again, like I said, it then dips into social media where people try to again to just run the track over and over and over again. Like again, I can't be more blunt. TikTok. Sometimes they'll take the biggest songs that are really good and then they'll make it super annoying that you hate it within the week. Like, listen, Drake, In My Feelings, when it came out, I actually liked the song for what it was. When people started doing those challenges, I immediately hated it. And I'm like, but wait, I was just liking it a week ago and I hate it. How did
yeah,
I get there?
yeah.
And like, you actually look within the middle and it's like, oh my God.
So
Like,
what's a song right now, like on your playlist, whatever, in your iPod? I don't know what you use. Like me, oh, I it's not next to me right now, but I have a classic iPod. Like I just bought it last year, like a brand new classic iPod because I like the old school stuff. It holds the most music, it has the most gigs on it. That's how I put my music. I don't mix my phone and music. I keep them
right.
separate. But if you're a Spotify user, whatever, however you indulge in your music, what is one track right now that has you like feeling any type of way, whether it's sad, you're in your feelings, or like it pumps you up to work out, or like what's one track right now that's giving it to you,
All right. So
giving you life?
I have two. I have two. There's this one guy I listen to. His name is Ye Ali. He has this song called Sweatpants.
Yeah,
It's such a simple beat too. Just the guitar on it is just so soothing. And it's just I can vibe to it. It's everything, and it just puts me such in a pleasant mood. So like that's one of the tracks. Um, Another track is The Weekend. He just recently dropped his album Dawn FM. Out of Time. Ew, it's getting me mad like throwback vibes. It's just everything like the synths in the back and everything like that. The vocals on it. It literally sounds like I'm like sitting at the movies and like watching like a scene like just pass by like something like on a cliff looking at the moon with the stars in the sky. Like that's what it feels like.
you're I hear you. I hear you. I can't. I can't. You gotta send me the yeah. I know yeah, Ali. So you gotta send me. Text me that track when you get a chance. I want to listen to that one. I
Yeah.
listened to the Weekend album.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was just different. But Yeah, man. I just want to wrap up this conversation. Just I want to keep going, but I feel like if we don't stop, we're gonna just go to
Oh,
the
we could
bridge of
talk
dawn.
for days. We'll talk for days if we don't stop. Yeah.
Back.
Like
So
the conversation won't end when you come on my platform. We'll definitely, this won't be the first time or the last time we speak, right? So
absolutely, absolutely. So I know your verdict was like you're probably not gonna find a moment that in the next 10 to 20 years where music is just like okay, this was pretty good. Um, I'm
not
gonna.
unless Jay-Z, not unless Jay-Z or Nas releases another album.
Oh
Those are my
yeah.
those are my idols, you know. So like
Mm,
anytime anything was released from them, I jump. Same with Eminem, like Eminem, Nas, Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Pusha T. Who else do I like? The Game.
mm.
The Game just released a new song over the weekend with Kanye called
Oh
E.
yes.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
I haven't listened to it yet, but I heard a lot of people are
Oh,
talking. A lot of people are talking
that's
about it.
my track right now. That's giving me feelings. Like it's like Jim Jones released a new project. Like
Mm.
I'm listening to my guys that make me want to go out and sell drugs. If you don't make me want to do something,
Honestly, like
like
listen, like
I need to feel like I've got it. I
one of
want to have
my
this screw face on when I'm listening to your music. You know?
listen, like one of my artists, like for that type of music, like I have a couple. There's Benny the Butcher. There's
Oh, of
Dave
course.
East. Dave East, listen, he
I
just
like
hopped on
David.
an album with Harry Fraud. They
I saw,
created
yeah,
something. I think it was called Hoffa,
yeah.
bro. That
Hoffa,
shit
yeah.
hits different.
I like Davey. I like Davey even just solo. Like when he's by himself, he could kill beats. I like it. But
Right. I think personally, I don't. I kind of agree
Griselda, the
with
whole
you.
Griselda crew is good.
Right. I kind of agree with you in that aspect. I don't think there's gonna be something I'll immediately remember in the next 10, 20 years. But I think to just say no, I would just be lying to myself. I think like there are gonna be moments where like some artists that I agree because like one of them is 21 Savage. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I heard 21 Savage, I thought this dude was boring. I'm like, I don't give two shits about him, and he just grew on me
He's
exponentially.
growing on me. I can't lie. And
Like,
I don't like that. I don't like that. I am saying 21 Savage. Not that I'm a hater. It's just he hasn't said anything. It's crazy that he hasn't said anything to catch my attention until recently. And I like that. I like that he's different. He's different. And I'm
he
seeing
is.
it, you know, and I respect it a lot. So
He's super different. Like I
he's
feel like again,
British. He's British. So
I don't even need like an artist to like always be like this spiritual, lyrical, like, oh, let me tell you. Like, listen, if you want to talk like something else that's like, not related to that, it's fine. I think everyone has their own way of expressing their own type of like content. But like I think it's more of how you give it out. Like, do you have like that certain style or do you show it like, this is something that it sticks to me. It's not like I'm just saying it on like a piece of paper because if I do so I get paid. Like I feel like those artists who can add like their own flair on tracks or whatever albums, it's like as long as they show that they care and they're in it, then like I appreciate that. I don't need you to go out and be like a Kendrick or like just spit the most wise poetry, like spoken word, anything. Like no, if you want to talk about you're changing everything, like if you can do it in a creative way,
yeah,
then I'm okay. I'll listen to you. So like
yeah.
I feel like there will be moments I will go back and be like, you know what, this was cool. But if I'm gonna look at it as a whole, I will look back and say like this generation, this period was just so messed up. It's just so messed up.
Well, what goes up must come down, and things come back around eventually. So we'll get back to like a moment of substance. I feel it just takes
Yeah.
artists. It takes artists to recognize that, and that's what I aim for with my what I do. I just want to create. I feel free when I create. So hopefully, I inspire others to just want to create as well. Like there's so many people out there that want to create, but they're afraid to put something out into the ether because they're afraid of what people are going to think. They're
Right.
afraid that it's too different from other people's stuff or what's out there. And that's exactly when you should create, when you have those fears. You put the fear on paper, you put the fear on the internet, or however you're choosing to create, whether you're a graphic designer or like you're a rapper, a poet, whether female or male, like that's when you should create the most, in those moments of fear. So forget everybody. Like, you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. You'll find fulfillment in your purpose when you're in your element. And then whoever
Yeah.
likes it, because not everyone's gonna like what you do anyway. Like, who? But are you doing it for that, to be liked? Like, we weren't put
Mm,
here to be liked. I definitely wasn't. I could care less about being liked. I don't want to be liked. Like,
mm.
if you like me, you like me. That's cool. Let's
Yeah.
roam. But if you don't like me, that's okay as well. Like, it's okay to
Yeah.
not be liked. Like, we have to be comfortable with not being liked.
That's so true.
Just create. Just
I,
create.
well said. Well said. You just gotta go out there, create the stuff that you want to create, and if you're happy with it, that's all that matters. Well said. But I think this was a phenomenal conversation. This was fantastic. Thank you so much,
Right.
Aries, for coming on the podcast on the Safe Room, man. Where can everyone find you?
Touch base with me at only one Arys, ONLY, the number one, ARYS, on all social media platforms. Listen to the Who and How Club podcast, which is released every week, and follow the podcast at Who How Club on all social media platforms, or whohowclub.com is the website. I have a new song out right now called Diminish, featuring Emma Salisbury. She's from Australia. So I think that us being on today's episode is just like, it's kind of like full circle, because I have a new song that's out right now.
Hey,
And
throw
this
your
topic,
plug.
yeah,
Throw your plug.
this topic was right on par, I guess, with everything that's going on in my life. So I appreciate you, Sean. Shout out to your listeners and supporters for having me at the Safe Room podcast. And yeah, just thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And since we're on music, guys, go check out the official soundtrack of the Safe Room Podcast by yours truly. Again, it's called First Lady by your boy, the President Sean Williams. Again, every president needs a first lady. If you get what I mean, listen. It's probably the only track I'm gonna make because again, I'm not a musician like that. I'm not my boy Arys right here. So please go support it. It's my hardest piece of work. Again, like
Send it
again.
to me as well. I didn't. I want to hear it. I want to take it in today. I'm gonna play it while I'm cleaning. I'm gonna take it
Much,
in. That's
much.
how I take in music nowadays. New music that comes out, I clean and I listen. Because if it's not touching my heart while I'm cleaning,
Oh
so
shit.
let me send it to me. I'm gonna take it in.
Yeah, guys, I'm in the hot table, I guess.
And this won't be the only time we touch base, because we're gonna have Sean on my platform as well, and we'll bridge our listeners and supporters in the coming weeks. So Sean, just thank you, man. I needed this today, so thank you.
Hey man, I needed this too. It is still snowing outside. It's just wonderful. So guys, I gotta go because I might have to go outside and shovel some snow. But thank you guys for listening. If you want to follow me, please follow me on my backup account, which is c.a.podcast. If you guys don't know, my account is going through some issues. I don't want to spill everything here because I will be talking about it very soon. I probably will get to everything what's happening. I have some words for Instagram. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna leave it like that. I got some words for them. But thank you guys so much for listening to the Safe Room. I'll be back with another episode very soon, and I'll see you guys next time.